Hello, hello! Today I will be finally able to release a commentary I wanted to post for a while, namely the Großer Kurfürst, meaning the T10 German. First thing I want to demonstrate here before I even start my commentary is the sheer size of this ship. I will often talk about how big it is and the size itself, and I feel it's important you get a vision of it. That small thing next to my ship, that's a Yamato. So this is how huge it is. Imagine like a third of the Yamato tacked on in length. That's pretty much how long it is. It's not wider, it's simply long. And being very long isn't very nice when it comes to stuff like torpedoes especially. And of course when you got a big turning circle and stuff like that, then it becomes quite frustrating. So that's what I wanted to start this commentary off with. Now the ship itself, I actually think it looks pretty amazing. Like I actually like the looks of pretty much all the German battleships. I guess the fact that I like the look of this Tirpitz and Scharnhorst should have basically made me expect this. But I like the look of the ship. Now, of course, size is something that, of course, matters quite a bit. I mean, the first reaction you have when you see the massive size of this ship might be, oh wow, it's fucking huge. That's so cool. That's amazing. I mean, that's so awesome. Look how big I am compared to all these others. It's cool at the start, but then when you start to realize that it's really not that cool when you're actually being shot at, because they can hit you very, very easily. Now, I run a stealth build. Okay, first of all, I need to start you off by saying I've had quite a few disagreements regarding the ship, or not disagreements, but difference of opinion. A lot of super testers and a lot of other community contributors are of the opinion that this ship is absolutely awful, unplayable, blah 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 blah. And personally, I think this ship is quite strong. So, sue me. Once again, not the first time I'm of a difference of opinion. It might be because I use significantly different builds than them. I've heard that plenty of them are using like the range mod because they don't think the default 20.2 kilometer range is enough. Personally, I use the reload mod to take my reload down to 28.2 seconds on these 420mm guns. Of course, another thing, I used 420mm guns. I've played so much Yamato, so much Montana. I know how big of a difference gun caliber makes in this game, and having just slightly bigger caliber guns means you have much more punishing volleys, much more destructive volleys. Like anyone who's played Yamato knows just how huge gun caliber is. And we start off with the first volley. 30,000 damage to a ruin that was showing broadside at what, 16-17 kilometers. Now I understand that the other people who maybe play more passively might think that the range isn't enough, but for me the 20.2 kilometers is more than enough, and I had no issues slapping the range module, the reload module on this ship and just going to town with these huge 420mm guns. Now, as I said, I've quite been enjoying this ship because first thing I need to point out is that the ship in my commentary here has 88k HP. Now, the actual released version of the ship has 105k HP because the ship was considered too weak, which I'm not sure how I really feel about that. I mean, I guess it's good for the average player because, I mean, if the average player struggled, then sure, it's good that it's buffed, but the HP buff is of course always a nice thing. Another 17k HP is nothing to sneeze at. Of course, it's a bit of a double-edged sword in the case that it also means that fire damage will tick for extra, but then again you will heal for extra and so forth. So ultimately it's of course a good change for the competitiveness of the ship. So very nice things. Second thing, of course, when it comes to the maneuverability of the ship, now a lot has been spoken about the turning circle. Namely, this ship has a turning circle of 1050 meters, which is certainly a very, very large turning circle. But then when you think about it, the Yamato has a 900 meter turning circle and the Montana has a 950. So ultimately it really has 100 meter bigger than the Montana. So yes, it's bad, but it's not really the end of the world, especially as you can see here, they have given the ship hydroacoustic surge. And if you use the premium hydro, which I highly recommend you should, you'll have it up really, really quite often. And of course, the most fantastic thing of it all, it's the German hydroacoustic surge, meaning you'll be spotting DDs at 5.9 kilometers, you'll be spotting torps at 5 kilometers. You basically, while it's active, you will see any torps coming your way a mile away and have plenty of time to dodge even with your big turning circle. Another thing I feel like I should point out is even with this huge turning circle, the Yamato and Montana have a rudder shift of 22.2 seconds, whereas this one has a rudder shift of 19.4. So the Kurfürst actually has a better rudder shift than both the other T10 battleships. So that's something to take into account. And it doesn't sound like much, it sounds like about 3 seconds, but then when you consider it's like 10-15% more, then you start realizing that, whoa, that's actually a pretty good thing, isn't it? Now, of course, a ship this large will have very obvious natural enemies. Being shot at, of course, is the simple one, but more accurately, HE spam from range is going to be a significant issue because, well, German repair is the same as on all the other ones. So HE is probably gonna be one of the biggest threats. Torpedoes, of course, if they hit, I need to point out, of course, the torpedo protection on this ship. Now, the ship has a 27% torpedo protection. That is quite abysmal. If this was T5, or maybe T4, 27% would be quite okay. But when you realize that the Montana has 39% torpedo reduction and the Yamato has 56%, you suddenly realize that 27% is very, very bad. To put it into perspective, a Shimakaze torp that does about 24k damage, the 12 kilometer ones do about 24k damage, base damage. If it hits your ship, it's gonna do 17.3k with the reduction. If it hits Yamato, it's gonna do 10.5k. So if you eat 2 torps, you will take to your belt, you will take more damage than a Yamato that eats 3 torps. There's some perspective for you, just how big of a difference this huge disparity in torpedo protection is. Of course, that's why you have hydroacoustic surge. You shouldn't be eating torps, but if you do eat torps, they are going to hurt you, and they are going to hurt you a lot. And that is, of course, a significant weakness to keep in mind. Now, there are, of course, another way that you can be torped besides DDs, and that's, of course, carriers. And there's, I think, is the main weakness of the Kurfürst. Mainly that, well, I've been playing the ship solo, but I feel like people who play this ship in divisions aren't really going to struggle that much with that. Basically, it's going to be like they did back in, I don't know how many of you have played this game that long, but back in the day, it used to be pretty much must have to have a cruiser with you to cover you, because carriers were so insane. Well, you're kind of living in that mode when you play in this ship, like every carrier is insane, because bombs they're going to hit every bomb, they're going to hit every torp, because you're so large and so easy to hit. Oh, and Montana giving broadside. Moment of silence for the Montana who gives broadside to 420mm guns. These guns are nasty. Like, I really, really like these guns. The shell speed, the damage, the feel of this oomph, like these huge volleys you can beat into other battleships. They are satisfying to use. I've been liking them a lot. When I've been suffering with overpens with a lot of other ships, I've still been just hammering in citadels with this Grosser Kurfürst without any issues. So I've been liking this ship. So, I mean, once again, a lot of other commentaries are probably gonna talk about how awful the ship is, whereas I've been having a great success with it in general. Now, where was I? That citadel, that Montana is very much dead. You can't show broadside to this ship. Of course, you notice the reload, 28.2 seconds when you use the reload mode, as I'm using. The Yamato and Montana, I use the reload mode on both of them as well. You can get it down to 26.4. So they reload a bit faster, but then again, you're a bit of a trade-off, aren't you? Because you deal significantly more damage per volley than a Montana because of your higher caliber guns, and you have more guns than the Yamato. So ultimately, I think it's fairly balanced, the reload. It's not leaving me wanting. I feel like the volleys I pump out do so much damage that it compensates. Now, the ship itself. I mean, the AA, as I was talking about, your AA is about equal to a Yamato's. If you went full AA spec with like manual AA and modules and stuff, then you could technically beat out Yamato's AA, but you're never going to get close to Montana AA no matter what you do. You're always going to be basically pretty garbage. AA is going to be pretty garbage no matter what you do. So you're never really gonna make yourself immune to that. Those are always going to be an issue in the ship, I think. So requesting cruiser support will probably be a pretty great thing in this ship. But in general, this ship is quite suited for pushing in, like surprisingly so. Of course, besides the HA spam issue, the 20-kilometer range means that you kind of have to close the distance to be able to use these guns. The insanely powerful German hydro means that you can actually push into these caps without much issues, because you can't really be torped. Hell, sometimes I fight some other battleship or cruiser and I just activate the hydro to spot DDs around me, and then I just watch as the cruisers who are near me, who are basically using this huge Kurfürst. I mean, for me playing the ship, first of all, people recognize my name, they want to shoot at me. People see this huge ship, they want to shoot at it. So I've kind of been like the magnet, like just come on, punch me, basically, and they all focus on me. And then I just pop hydro and spot everything around me, and I just watch as my cruisers go to work and melt them all. So that has been surprisingly effective. Secondaries on this ship are pretty good, actually. I mean, they're not quite up to par of the Yamato's ones, but if you pop on a flag, for example, I use AFT, but if you pop on a flag as well, you get like 9.3 kilometer range, pretty good shell velocity, decent fire chance and all, especially when fighting other battleships, which you're probably going to be doing quite a bit. It's very, very potent. Speed-wise, it does a nice 30 knots, which is pretty great. Honestly, it's that's the same speed the Montana does after the speed was buffed, so it's faster than the Yamato, in fact. So if it really comes down to it, you can run through or hunt down a Yamato. But ultimately, you don't really want to be taking him on. I mean, much talk has been said about how you can tank when you're facing right towards him, but whereas I would say the ship is tankier than the Montana if you're angled properly, if you do decide to show broadside in the ship, you can be punished very, very heavily. Make no mistake, you eat just like the torpedoes. When you show broadside, you eat a lot of damage. So that's something you certainly need to be prepared for. Oh damn it, the torpedoes was killed just before I could finish him off. And I mean, this was a game, they had Montana, they had Zaos, they had double Shimakazes. I mean, these are a lot of things you're supposed to struggle against against battleships. As a battleship, like double Shima and Zao, these are pretty much nightmare status, and we really don't have too much issues. Zao could of course be if he would be able to stealth fire me, but because when you push in a ship this big, you kind of automatically tend to get a bit of support. I mean, not always, but because when you run in with hydroactive as well, so all the torps are spotted, the DDs realize they spotted it has this kind of cascading effect. I mean, I could hope that this would mean that there's going to be more aggression in this game in the future because of this, but of course that's wrong. People are just going to sit back and people are going to slap spotter plane and a range module on this thing, and they're going to sit back and snipe just like they do with all the other battleships. So that's just a pointless wish. By the way, I said nice smoke there because actually smoking up against a Kurfürst is probably the dumbest thing you can do, because you happen to have a spotting range with the hydro of 5.9 kilometers. 5.9 kilometers is usually also the range at which you can spot DDs at T10. So your smoke literally adds no concealment at all to you if you're against the Kurfürst, because either you're normal spotted or you're hydro spotted, it doesn't really matter. So the best thing is just to sail away, not bother with the smoke at all. And he's torping me, but I have hydroactive. Oh, and of course plane spotting, but don't really need plane spotting thanks to the hydro. It lasts 2 minutes, and I mean, well, he got deleted. So I think this was an example just of how I just pushed through sea and pushed into them. I did 196,000 damage. Sunk 2 guys, just wrecked on my way. Now, 2.6k base XP. Now, this was just one example. In fact, the day before the NDA was about to be lifted, I decided, damn it, I'm gonna play another game. So I'm just gonna tack on another game right after this, just to show you, like, it's not some sort of fluke, some magical game that just happened to happen. I've actually been enjoying myself in the Großer Kurfürst. Right, let's get right into the second game. I really just like the way this ship looks. I think this ship looks amazing. I mean, sure, it's huge, but it's still a really nice looking ship in my... I especially like the camo on it. I ended up against Yamato Zao and Moskva and a bunch of others, Bastion mode. This was the game I played today when I wanted to make sure I really wasn't talking out of my ass, basically, when I said that I really like the ship. Like, maybe I would have some epiphany when I play the ship now that will make me suddenly realize why everyone else says it's so terrible. Maybe this one will somehow enlighten me. When I was talking about this is nice shell velocity, by the way, the ship has 800 meters per second on the AP, which is certainly very, very nice. It's not much faster than what you have on the Yamato or the Montana. I mean, it's 20 meters per second faster than Yamato, 40 meters more per second than Montana, so that's like 2.5 and 5% difference. So it's not a big difference, but it's still, I mean, faster is always better, especially with these big shells that don't lose that much velocity in the air. You saw the HE damage there, 5,000, really pitiful, but something worth mentioning is certainly that the fire chance on the HE is insane. It has a 41% chance of fires. So if a Yamato decides to angle against you, just like with the Montana, you can switch to HE and spam fires on him, and this one will be even more potent at doing that. Of course, it won't have the range of the Montana, but on the other hand, 41% fire chance is insane, even with the reductions the other ship gets. Oh, wait, what is... This guy's going at Taga, what the fuck, don't shoot. Is our... I think... Yeah, wait, the shells are coming... That guy bit the Danke? He's shooting our own captured fort? What? He's killing our own fort. I mean, there is the Ataga stereotype, but good lord, that is... He's shooting her. Like, the fact that the fort is green didn't tip him off that maybe he's actually gonna kill it. 300,000 damage he's doing to it. Anyway, Spot and Izumo instantly open fire. Could have been better, only 5k damage. Of course, I've mentioned that I'm using the stealth build on this guy, just as I am with the Montana. You get the stealth, with the stealth build you get concealment down to 13.6 kilometers, which certainly isn't bad. I mean, the Montana stealth build goes down to 13.4, so it's literally a 200 meter difference. Of course, without the stealth build, this one is more visible than the Montana, but still with the stealth build, you get very, very stealthy indeed. Nice little volley on the Amagi, showing broadside. Hello, instant citadel. Well, so far, this game hasn't convinced me that perhaps I was entirely mistaken. Now, the Fubuki was spotted near this gap, so I'm activating my Hydra as I close into it. Yeah, is this guy giving broadside? No, but the Moskva, look at the Moskva. Slowing down, full stop, all guns to bear. I don't care if I'm detected, this is too good of an opportunity to pass up on. Oh baby, there we go. There we go. 12 shells, 420mm on the way. Oh, hello. Hello, only 2 citadels unfortunately, but still, what, 40k damage to him? Like, that Moskva went from a tanky battlecruiser type of Russian thing to, like, basically scrap metal. That was some Kriegsmarine power shown right there to that poor Moskva. Let's see, he's angling away from me, but I don't think he's angling enough, especially against these shells. You need to put some extra angling into it. I have a Fubuki targeted with my secondaries on the right, as you can see. Hey, another 10k volley. Yeah, you better start running, boy. Turning towards the Fubuki, or mostly just to get my guns to bear. Now I'm gonna turn left again. I'm hoping this will throw his prediction off to the right. What is this guy doing? He's moving so slowly out. Oh, only over penetrations, no real hits. That's unfortunate. The secondaries are kicking into action though, as you can see. Oh, he didn't trust the white bar. That was pretty smart. Those were some really good torpedoes. He didn't trust the white bar where it was shown. Instead, he's basically put them right on me. So now that I turn away, I will have to hit 2 torps. And look at this damage. You saw that? 20k hits from Fubuki torps. 20k hits from Fubuki torps. You saw how much I only ate 2 Fubuki torps, and you saw how much damage I ate. So that is certainly a significant weakness to keep in mind with this Kurfürst. You absolutely cannot eat torps in this thing, because this torpedo belt is a goddamn joke. Of that I agree 100% with everyone else. The torpedo belt is just such a weakness. That was a T8 destroyer landing 2 torps on me, and huge damage, absolutely huge damage. But still, I still have 40k HP, and I can heal up a nice chunk, so no worries here. Game looks fairly even at the moment, except of course I have really crippled their Moskva, which of course gives us a nice advantage. Let's see, how's that volley? Overshot. I was shot too far behind him. That was unfortunate. Still, I'll take a 7k hits. 7k on Atago, I mean, it's a good chunk, but it could have been so much better because he was giving so much broadside. I think I'm just gonna push through Cap A or 1 and like basically charge into them. I'm not really certain what my team is doing. Like, there's a bunch of people south of me, like turrets and stuff for it all. I don't really know what they're fighting. The closest target is this North Carolina, and he's like 20 kilometers away. Are they all hiding from him? I do not really understand what these guys are doing. Well, obviously they are. Well, it's kind of basic battle stuff. You just see people being very cowardly. Sumo's pretty angled. Let's see if I can shoot over this thing. Nice, I can shoot over it. With that angle, I don't know if I'm actually gonna get any good hits on it. Nice, my spotter plane spotted the Fubuki. I have Hydro activated again, of course. I'm gonna close the distance here. He's really close to the wall. Yeah, you see, now he's Hydro detected. Let's call a target on him, and hopefully the guys on my right will start nailing him now. That's the plan. Oh, the Izumo's turned. Izumo is giving broadside. Let's see if we can rebalance this T9 battleship with this 420mm guns. I'm back up to 55k HP after the heal, and... oh, hello! Hello! 46,000 damage from 15 kilometers. You do not show this ship a broadside. I mean, oh damn, he actually managed to... wow, he managed to... well, he didn't permanently cripple it, he just managed to incapacitate it. But still, that was surprising. It must have been plunging fire from those big guns of the Izumo that briefly knocked it out. Still, 46k damage. I'm already up to 136k damage again. Like, I swear, I can't hate this ship as much as all the other people seem to have been testing it seem to hate it. I just can't. It has weaknesses, it has very obvious weaknesses, but I mean, I've been playing in Montana for like a year. I know all about weaknesses. I know all about AA not really shooting down a single plane when a midway comes to strike you. Shimaka's a torpedo soup with your horrible torpedo belt that gets completely outclassed by Yamato. I know all about eating much more HE damage than a Yamato does. I know all about angling towards a Yamato and still getting wrecked. I mean, for someone who has experienced that, this thing, I mean, I think this is quite a good ship. I mean, it has some issues that I think should need to be... for example, I don't understand why the torpedo belt is so incredibly weak, especially with the combination of the incredibly weak anti-air. Oh, well, not incredibly weak, but weak. I mean, it's not Dunkirk levels of incredibly weak, because you can, if you fully spec into it, you can get somewhat decent, but you're not going to be effective against T10 planes anyway. So, I mean, it's like two weaknesses that compound each other, and I feel like they went a bit overboard with that torpedo belt being as weak as it is. I guess they wanted to give it an obvious weakness because they kind of made it a big deal of that whole you are able to angle against Yamato now, whoa, big deal, woo. But I mean, how often is it really that which kills you and not just the carrier deleting you or some random torps or fires or whatever, or basically just being citadel by broadside or something like that? So ultimately I feel like they went a bit over the top. They added that one gimmick and then they went a bit over the top with anything else. Adding the Hydro, actually they didn't have Hydro to begin with, so adding the Hydro was certainly a good addition, made it more competitive for sure. You saw that what I talked about showing broadside means you eat a lot of damage. That was 10k, not a citadel or anything, just 10k AP damage from really far away, and I think that was just 2 of his turrets. I wonder if I can deal damage from this angle. Can't really figure out what speed he's going at. Is he stopping? Shit, I think he's stopping. I overshot. I'm just gonna keep closing the distance. He's gonna be in my secondary range soon. As I said, if you run the flag and AFT as I do in this build, you get a nice, was it 9.3? 9.3, 9.5, something like that secondary range. And it does come in surprisingly handy. It's not, because of the T10 meta, I can never recommend a secondary build for anything because there's too much sitting in the back sniping bullshit going on. So you never really get the use. You never really get the use of a secondary build. The full use, that is. It's never worth sacrificing like main gun damage. But still, with the AFT and the flag, that's enough of a concession to get some extra damage out of it. It was obviously 9.3. Yeah, I think it was 9.3. That was the range, because now they opened up. And as you can see, you have quite a bit of secondaries. Let's see if I can get rid of this Susumu. He's getting pretty annoying now. Already got a fire going on him. And it's just gonna keep going on. You might have noticed, by the way, that angling, these still aren't Yamato guns. 420mm guns are nice and all. They're quite potent, but they still aren't Yamato guns, because a Yamato from this had already sunk this guy a long time ago. But because of his angling, I've done pretty much no damage to him so far. I'm pretty much sure that one fire I did with my secondaries had done more damage than I had so far. I finally got his side though, or enough of his side to be able to get actual hits on him. So instantly dealt 10k damage to him. And secondaries are raining down HE on him. Oh, he switched his gun towards me. I don't really care about angling or anything. I just want to kill him. We have 993 points. I want to kill him before the game ends. 997. Oh, got him just in time. Got him just before the game can end. Well, that's good. Well, anyways, this was my second Kurfürst game. What? 12-13 minutes long game. 172k damage, including a really nice volley for like 46k. And top XP again. So I mean, make up your own mind about this, like take everyone's opinions, I mean, but I don't really feel that this ship is nearly as weak as people are making it out to be. It has weaknesses, yes, but it's still got really nutty guns. Now, as usual, I will start out with the modules. Now, I of course recommend 420mm guns on this ship. Using the 406mm guns, while it gives you slightly faster reload and just very slightly faster shell speed, you lose out on AP damage, fire chance, HE damage, and of course the caliber bonuses, meaning better penetration. So I personally highly prefer the 420mm guns. Consumable wise, at least get the premium repair and heal. You can get away with using the free hydroacoustic search if you wish. Just make sure that you disengage for the 3 minutes, or basically remove yourself from situations where you can be torped while the consumable is on cooldown, and only place yourself in risky situations while you have it active. No need for Catapult Fighter 2, I just use it because I have more money than I know what to do with. Upgrade wise, upgrade guns, our aiming system, of course that also buffs secondaries, which is a nice little bonus. And main battery mod 3 for the faster reload. Now your turret traverse is 39 seconds, which isn't bad at all. That's pretty much the same you'll get on the Montana. Might be even slightly faster, I think. So definitively not an issue at all running that mod on the ship. Damage control system, reduce fire and flooding damage. This one reduces the duration. Now you could run steering gears modification too, but your turning circle is still going to be 1050. So I mean, what exactly are you planning on dodging with that faster rudder shift? You're not going to be dodging shit regardless, so I prefer to just take the flat out reduction. And here finally, Usually there's a bit of an argument which one to use, but on the Kurfürst it's very straightforward. You go for concealment, because with intelligent use of the hydroacoustic search consumable, you should never need to use the target acquisition module. So you should always get away with using stealth. And because of that stealth thing is also why, because you're already partially speccing in stealth, which is why this build is so good, because it continues that speccing into stealth by getting concealment expert. Now the basic build is basic survivability, expert marksman. You don't need vigilance once again, because you should be running hydroacoustic search, so there's absolutely no need for it. Now you get superintendent, and then you get once again just for the, not just for the heal but for another hydro. Vigilance not needed at all, and then you get AFT. Now AFT actually helps not just the secondaries and AA on this ship, but it helps, like the Bismarck benefits greatly from it. The Friedrich has insane AA, I will cover that in another commentary, but also benefits greatly. And finally, of course, concealment. This is a placeholder spec. I intend to spec out of those two, like basic firing training and expert loader, and spec into vigilance once I get the chance. Oh, and by the way, even though the detectability range by air is 14.4 kilometers, it doesn't actually matter, because planes can only spot 11 kilometers away, so 11 kilometers above is the only thing that matters. Anyway, that was my Grosser Kurfürst commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.